Know thyself. This made me a better parent, leader, and doctor. There was no master plan. I didn't set out to be a chiropractor. It wasn't in my genes. No one in my family had ever seen a chiropractor, let alone been one. Yet that's where I ended up. And I'm 100% sure that I'm in exactly the right place. Recently, I learned something that took this knowing to an entirely different level. I went from being theoretical to being completely practical, actionable, and implementable in my life, in a way it truly never was before. Today, I want to give you the same experience by sharing a fast, powerful 8-minute tool. I've even negotiated a special discount for you. There's a link in the comments below. Let me tell you a quick story to explain why this matters for you, for your family, and for your business. When I left school, I found myself having the marks to do pretty much anything I wanted, but absolutely no idea what that actually was. When I looked around at my successful friends, they were either going into finance, which I had no interest in at all, or engineering. So I decided to become a civil and environmental engineer. I enjoyed my first year at uni, but if I'm honest, it was more because of the social experience than any great connection to the material I was learning. There was just no real spark. So when I got a summer holiday job launching the first Planet Hollywood restaurant in Australia in Sydney, it was an easy decision to delay my next year of study. I was just having way too much fun. There was never any question of not completing my studies. My mum was a high school teacher and principal, and education was a huge value in my family. The question was, what was I going to study? By then, I'd already figured out it wasn't going to be engineering. At that time in my life, what was lighting me up the most was exploring flow states and pushing the physical limits of my body through rock climbing and yoga. So with that in mind, Mum suggested I try studying chiropractic. I wasn't sure about it, but it felt more aligned than engineering, so I gave it a go. Even after I graduated, I still didn't know if I was in the right place. So many of my classmates had a proud family history in chiropractic or a life-changing experience of personal healing, but I didn't have either of those. However, over time, it became increasingly clear that I was on the right path. I loved seeing patients get better. I loved figuring out complex cases. And I loved seeing people's lives transform as they realized there was so much more possible for them. But I still didn't really know why I loved those things. There were certainly easier ways to make a living. In fact, my first 5 years in practice were really quite a struggle, both financially and emotionally. Then I was introduced to a man who became a great mentor of mine, Dr. John Demartini. He taught me that every human being has a hierarchy of values and that their life is an exact reflection of those values. John's work really resonated with me, and I dived in deep. I took all his courses and even became a Demartini values facilitator, trained and certified to help people uncover their values and build a meaningful life based upon them. John developed a powerful set of questions to reveal what your values actually are, not what you think they should be or what you want them to be or think the socially acceptable version of them the world expects you to be. Questions like, how do you spend your time? How do you spend your money? What do you think about? What do you talk about? What do you surround yourself with? It's a great process, and it helped me gain clarity about what really mattered in my life. But here's my dirty little secret. Even after going through the process many times, and even leading other people through it, I still struggled to fully articulate my top values. The process got me in the ballpark, and it helped me strip away the things that didn't really matter. John describes these as other people's values injected into your life by some perceived authority. But I never completely nailed it. Until now, I knew learning was important to me. I'm a voracious reader and a student, was learning my top value. And I also knew health and healing were incredibly important to me. So was it health, healing? Spirituality matters deeply to me too. So does family. So which exactly was it? It seemed like the precise order shifted during different seasons of my life. Recently, I experienced a powerful reframe of these questions in a way that I'd never seen or heard before. Not like a theoretical way, but a completely practical, applicable way that's already created tangible benefits across my personal, family, and professional life. And of all places, it came from a dentist. Dr. Sanchez was the presenter at the recent UAC event that I attended in Beverly Hills. I mentioned it in episode 6, Unreasonable Hospitality. Gary founded a company called the Why Institute. Through the unique process that he developed, he's helped over 300,000 people around the world uncover their why, including now my whole family and my entire team in my business. It all began when he watched Simon Sinek's famous TED Talk, Start With Why. If you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth checking out. It's been watched nearly 70 million times, making it one of the most viewed TED Talks of all time. I remember when I first saw it, it really revolutionized my thinking. But despite watching it repeatedly and then reading the book based on it, I struggled to fully implement it, to fully make it work in my own life and my own business. Gary shared the same struggle, so he hired Simon and set out on a mission to figure out how to actually discover your why and how to practically apply it in your life. Good news for us is he succeeded. Gary's process is incredible. Over time, he managed to refine it down to a simple 8-minute online quiz. And it's so straightforward that both my 10-year-old and 13-year-old boys completed it no problem. But what it spits out is a profound insight about why you do the things you do and how you operate in the world. He calls it your WHY.os, short for Why Operating System. I did it live at the UAC event in a room with about 90 other doctors, and every single one that I spoke to was like, man, that thing was freakily accurate, which was exactly my personal experience. I was so impressed that I contracted Gary to run a workshop for my family and my entire team, which he did last weekend, and the results were equally impressive. Gary contends that although knowing your why is powerful, on its own, it's not enough. You also need to know your how and your what. How you live your why in the world and what you actually create with it. When you put all three elements together, it unlocks this almost magical level of clarity. Here's mine. My why is mastery. I believe that success happens when we dive in deep and understand the nuances. How I do that is by creating and following systems and processes that lead to predictable results. And ultimately what I bring are solutions that make sense. What do you think? Sound like me? I don't know how well you've got to know me through watching these videos or reading my newsletter. I try and share the authentic, unvarnished version of myself. But everyone who knows me has been like, man, that's you to a T. It's a little weird, even kind of a little scary that an 8-minute quiz can generate that level of insight. Yet that's exactly what it does. It's not just the snapshot that I just shared. The report contains pages of detail, unpacking your why, your how, and your what, including how to apply it in your life, how to better relate to others, your strengths that you should double down on, and your potential blind spots to look out for. It's an incredibly useful blueprint for living your best life. More than anything, it gives you permission to be truly, authentically yourself, to stop apologizing for your own unique personal brand of weirdness and just be the best version of who you really are. I've used lots of different personality profiling systems over the years, including Strengths Finders, Myers-Briggs, DISCs, the Enneagram, PDP, a whole bunch of them. And all of them were interesting. But as Gary explained, they all tell you about different aspects of how you operate in the world, without uncovering why you are that way. When I look back on my confusion about my hierarchy of values, was it learning, healing, spirituality, family? The common thread that ties them all together was my quest for mastery in all those important domains of my life. When that clicked, it was a light bulb moment for me. It was the first time one of these diagnostic tools has completely resonated with every fiber of my being. I'm not the guy to go to for quick, surface level answers, you might have noticed. I'm all about translating what I learn into practical, usable systems and solutions. It's the foundation of my philosophy in practice, in business, and here in the foot-brain connection. This experience has given me much more than just self-understanding. It's given me a practical framework for communicating with every member of my team and every member of my family in a language that makes sense to them, translated directly from my weird brain into their weird brain. It's also taught them how to communicate with each other, how to best work together, why sometimes they don't see eye to eye, and how to resolve those situations in an effective and productive way. After the weekend, my whole team is just buzzing with excitement about how to implement their personal WHY.os to better express the values and goals of my practice. And it works for external communication too. As an example, Gary took my personal WHY.os, uploaded it into ChatGPT and asked it to update our branding and messaging. And the result, I got to say, was pretty startling. As my team read through it, they were like, "This sounds exactly like you wrote it. This is just how you talk." Now, full disclosure, I have mixed feelings about this. Not one single word of my newsletter or these videos has been written by AI, nor will it be. In an increasingly digital, AI-driven world, I believe the power of genuine human voice reflecting an actual life lived becomes increasingly valuable. I was recently asked to be a beta reader for best-selling author Ryan Levesque's new book, Return to Real. In it, he explores these themes in detail. One of his key takeaways was that we should leverage technology to scale our distribution, kind of like we're doing here in these videos. But we must keep the actual message authentic. Your voice, your life. If you're interested in this topic, which we probably all should be in the world we're living in these days, I highly recommend checking out his book when it's published. It was really a worthy read. However, this doesn't mean we should ignore AI. Using it as a mirror to reflect back my messaging, updated through the lens of my WHY.os, is one of the most interesting uses I've seen yet. I'm in the process of running my websites, my online profiles through the same filter, and using that as a guide to better express what it is that I'm bringing to the world. My associates are doing the same thing for their bio pages, and it really, they just come out better. You could do it too. After our workshop, Gary sent us an action plan that detailed how to refine our internal and external messaging based on both my personal and my team's collective WHY.os. It also included strategic information on how to best leverage the strengths of our team, how to fortify our weaker areas, and how to hire for maximum impact and growth. We've definitely been implementing what we've learned. And it's fun. I haven't been this excited about my practice for years. However, as powerful as that is, it was really the family component that hit home the hardest. Gary said to me, "Andrew, you've got an amazing team and an amazing family, and I don't see any red flags at all in your team, which is rare. However, when I look at the WHY.os of your two boys, I do see a red flag. This is an important area of understanding for your family. I can't overemphasize this enough. If you're a parent of more than one child or a sibling, and you've ever been frustrated by why they fight over the dumb shit that they do, this is the answer. Looking at our family matrix, which was generated as part of the workshop, it makes perfect sense. Caelan's why is trust, meaning integrity in relationship is extremely important to him. He will never break your trust. And look out if you break his. If you say you're going to do something, you better deliver. Now, Harry's why is challenge. He's not interested in following the rules or doing things the conventional way, the way his brother would like or needs them to be. Gary said to me, "Your son will never be a good employee, but he'll make a great entrepreneur." And the funny thing is, that's kind of true already. Better Balance Orthotics is constantly in need of labor. Every single pair is customized by hand right here in my house. Harry could work as much as he wants in our business. But instead, at age 11, he decided to start his own 3D printing business. He sells his creations at school and at markets. Recently, he invested his profits into a second printer to double his production capacity. He buys his own filament, he manages his own stock, and he has absolutely zero interest in anyone else telling him what to do. Everyone's why is their superpower. No why is right or wrong, better or worse, but they are different. And that can set us up for conflict and misunderstanding. That's exactly the case with Harry and Caelan. They get on great, except when they don't. Now they have a framework for understanding why that happens and how to manage and resolve it when it does, in a way that respects both of their unique personalities and their unconscious operating systems. This is invaluable for our family. And I'm going to say it's already led to noticeably greater harmony in our house. My suspicion is it'd probably be helpful for yours too, and for your team. That's why I asked Gary if I could share his work with you. And what's the best deal he could offer for footbrainconnection subscribers? He's kindly offered us a 20% discount. To be honest, it's a minimal cost anyway, but never hurts to save a few bucks where you can. You can discover your WHY.os at the link in the comments below. I'd strongly recommend doing the same for your team and your family. It truly is a game changer. I'd love to hear what you learn and how you're using it to upgrade your family and business dynamics. Just reply in the comments below and fill me in. Cheers.